Hello and welcome to Minerals, Rocks, and Fossil Talks. I'm your paleontology teacher, Jen, and it's time for Fossil Friday. Today we're going to be talking about Leedsichthys problematicus, and it has a really fun history. So sit back and wait for this roller coaster of a ride. It was discovered by amateur paleontologist Alfred Nicholson Leeds in the 1880s while he was romping around in some loam pits. And boy, I really like to think that he was out there romping around with that magnificent mustache. If my friend Garrett is watching, you're like right up there with him in the awesome mustache stage. It was then inspected by John Whitaker Hulk, who said the bones were plates belonging to Dacenturus, a stegosaur. My dude. But never fear, because in 1888, the famous Othniel Charles Marsh visited and concluded that the bones did not belong to a dinosaur at all, but were in fact skull bones to a massive fish. And you know what? Good for him. He's really good at telling other people that they're wrong. 2 weeks later, the resident fish expert Arthur Smith Woodward examined the specimens and prepared a final description in which he named the fish after its discoverer. However, the science community got their panties all in a twist over this, and because how dare he stray away from convention and attach a non-Latinized British name to a classical Greek word. I mean, the audacity. Get over yourselves. My goodness. He changed it, gave it a different name. However, by today's modern standards, it's non-valid, so Leedsichthys it is. And honestly, it's a cool name. So they could just sit there with their panties in a knot and just suck it up. Now, the species name problematicus referred to how fragmented the remains were, making it hard to interpret. In fact, it consisted of 1,133 disarticulated skeletal elements, mostly fin rays. And in case you're wondering, this is what fin rays look like. They are thin and very fragile, and there are a lot of them. Like, a lot of them. The other problem they had was that the remains were also not completely ossified because they didn't completely ossify in life. Some of them just remain cartilage. So, as we've learned from sharks, cartilage not great at being fossilized. It was found in the Middle Jurassic Oxford Clay Formation, making it about 165 to 161 million years old. It has also been found in the Marne de Dives and Falaise des Vaches Noires formations in France and Germany, and from late Jurassic deposits in Chile, of all places. But hey, it's a fish. It could get around. That's just how oceans work. Aside from the many other fish and invertebrates that lived in the seas like ammonites, it lived alongside the marine crocodile Metriorhynchus, who they have found teeth embedded in some of the vertebrae, probably from scavenging because they hadn't healed over, but still kind of cool. And my boy Liopleurodon, or if you grew up on Charlie the Unicorn, the magical Liopleurodon, Charlie. These guys probably would have actively hunted Leedsichthys because they're like the only thing big enough at the time to take on a fish this size. Now, Leedsichthys belonged to the phylum Chordata, so it was a chordate, within the subphylum Vertebrata, or Craniata, depending on who you ask, within the clade Gnathostomata, in the clade Osteichthyes, the class Actinopterygiae, and the clade Pachycormidae. Basically, it is a jawed, bony ray fin fish in an extinct clade. Simply put. Now, due to the cartilaginousness of the skeleton, most specimens are incomplete and fragmentary, like this. There are over 70 individuals known, and yet there's still not very much that we know about this animal. Because even with some of the bones being ossified, they were hollowed out by the animal in life as it reabsorbed inner bone tissue. And the lack of a preserved vertebral column has made it difficult to estimate an exact length. But the largest specimen is estimated at about 54 feet, or 16.5 meters long, and about 49.5 tons in weight. They also believed that it was 38 years old, which is kind of neat. The head is relatively large and elongated, and most specimens consist mostly of the fin rays. For obvious reasons, they've got a lot of them. Wild, I know. The gill arches are equipped with gill rakers. So gill rakers are these processes that project from the gill arch right up here. And their job is to filter out tiny organisms to be eaten. What are you meaning to tell me that this big-ass fish was a filter feeder? I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. The biggest animals alive today are also filter feeders, so why not? Well, thanks for coming to today's lesson. Make sure you tune in Monday to learn about sulfide that has been tricking people for years. And have a good weekend. Fossilized later.